Digital doubles is being driven by two trends coming together. One is for the aggregation of our personal data all into one space, and the other is the arrival of twins of ourselves, digital twins of ourselves, into our personal space as opposed to the industrial space. We've been talking about digital twins and actually implementing digital twins for companies for some time now. These are where you take a machine like an aeroplane or an aeroplane engine, if you want to get to that level, and we create digital twins of those in order to monitor their performance, safety, etc., etc. That whole idea we're going to see actually applied to ourselves more and more rapidly over the next few years. We're seeing this a lot on social media already. You can see the signals. Voice skins, we're seeing it with gender swap, which is happening on Snapchat. We're seeing it with Finsters, which are fake Instagram accounts. These things are increasingly places where we are playing visibly with our identity and creating new versions of ourselves. We're seeing it in entertainment. It has, as so often happens, started in the porn industry, but it's moving on now very rapidly, for example, to fashion, where we're seeing new virtual, what we called last year, synthetic models arising and earning actually large amounts of money. We're actually now seeing this push into other social areas of our lives as well. You can create new friends on a service called Replica, and if you look at EterniMe, you can actually create a version of yourself so that your children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren and beyond will be able to see you forever and ever. So this whole idea that we create a double of ourselves is out there now, and increasingly we will be looking to that and saying, is this a place where I can execute on products and services that I want to buy or consume? And should this actually be a place where I put all of my personal data? Now, we've seen the aggregation of personal data before, and people, for example, like Google with Gmail, try to create a place where all of your personal data is gathered. What's different about this is this becomes individualized and personalized and actually a representation of ourselves. As this trend accelerates, as it inevitably will over the coming months and years. So some of the design questions we're going to have to answer is, how do we make this idea easy to interact with, secure, and useful for people? We think that the idea in its totality is very easy for people to understand. That's one of the reasons why we think this is going to take off so quickly. The next layer of challenge is, how do we actually work with this? What's stored there, and how is it secure? And what then does it do? And what happens when it interacts, for example, with other people? Because imagine if what you're able to do with your digital double is say to it, I want you to book me a holiday, and the digital double knows a lot about the kind of holidays that you like, knows everything to do with your calendar, and knows who you might want to go on holiday with, and can then set off as what we call an agentive service to go and make these things happen for you. At that stage, it's also going to be interacting with other people, some of them real, some of them also possibly digital doubles. But those interactions, as Google have discovered with their initial launch of Duplex, which they're now extending to other areas, those interactions will have to be very carefully designed so that the people that your digital double is interacting with understand exactly what it is that they're communicating with. Some interesting questions that emerge from the whole digital double phenomenon are already, and increasingly will be, how do we ensure data portability? How do we model the behavior? How do we relate to it ourselves? How do we deal with very human things like beauty and age and idealization of ourselves? Are we going to want that idealization, or are we going to be happy and comfortable looking back at ourselves? And last but not least, who do you trust to host this? So that's digital doubles, and I'll leave it to you to guess whether this is really Mark Curtis speaking to you or my digital double.